every company in the world, and every workflow for every company in every industry will be re-engineered in 24 months. This is a tsunami. This is a tsunami of change. And only the smart ones are going to recognize I have to plant the flag now. Whether the story is complete or not is not the issue. The train has moved out. It's on the fly.
So you're a small business owner wanting to learn more about AI. I totally get it. I am too. 12 months ago, I decided to dedicate my entire life to this. And by doing so, I've actually blown my own mind about what is possible. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how small business owners should adopt AI, and especially AI automation this year, without getting caught up in the hype of AI agents or AI voice bots or AI bots in general, because the number one problem that small business owners have is lack of time. So I do not want to waste your time. I consider myself a business owner. I don't really consider myself a content creator. That's why I get really annoyed when I see these content creators say things like, this AI tool should feel illegal. And it makes me just want to get up and run the opposite way. And it really leaves a bad mark on the AI industry. Whereas what is actually possible right now is you as a business owner, you have proven processes of how you produce content. You have proven processes of how you launch new products. You have proven processes of how you write emails. There are so many proven processes in your business today that are making you money that are still getting done manually by maybe yourself or a team member, which can actually be automated maybe 50%, maybe 60%, maybe even 90 to 95% of that workflow can be automated by AI using AI tools that you're probably aware of, like ChatGPT, but building them in very different ways using automation tools like Make.com, even Zapier, and these other tools that are out there. However, the challenge is, like I said, most business owners don't have time. So you know you could be doing more, but you don't really know where to spend that time, effort, energy, focus, money, all of those things that come along with going and learning a new skill. In this video, I want to help solve that. And if you don't know me yet, my name is Mitch, and I've built a number of 6- and 7-figure businesses over the last 12 plus years now. And what I'm most passionate about is solving real problems for real businesses, making real money, not just theory, not just AI hype. Like, I really am interested in how can we find the best solutions that are viable today, not something that's coming in 12 months time or 2 years time. How can we use these solutions today that are proven in order to drive more growth, to make everyone in your team more efficient, and hopefully increase your profit margins as well, so you can make sure that the work that you're doing is worth it. How does that sound? Good. So today we're going to be talking about a few things of stop, start, and continue. What are those types of things that you should be doing? But before I do dive into that, my last business was a pet care education business. We did $1.5 million in the first year, and eventually we grew to like 10 team members. I was building business the old way, which is scale up with more team members, more software tools, more risk, more complexity, more management that needs to happen, more therapy of the team members. And all of that blew up after making 2 really bad decisions in a row, and we ran out of cash. We had to fire 7 team members during that period, which was probably the worst experience that I've had in business, getting rid of team members that I really enjoyed working with who are doing great. What we ended up having to do was rebuild the business from the ground up. And it just forced me to think entirely differently around what can we actually do with our workflows than just hire more people all the time. And that's what led me down to, at the time we were using ChatGPT in the dashboard. It was making us a little bit more efficient. But it led me down into realizing we could actually use preset workflows for things like automating everything to do with YouTube, automating everything to do with podcasting and summits. We're doing a lot of those at the time. Automating complete workflows for newsletters as well, so that I could take my processes and build a system that my team could follow, that virtual assistants making, $10,000 to $20,000 a year could follow and still produce the same quality as me. So that alleviates having to hire really expensive staff all the time, and our team members offshore can actually be just as productive, even more productive, and produce really high quality work. Fast forward a few months later, we had 3 team members instead of 10, and they were basically running the entire business for us, producing the same amount of output as before. And that's really what led me, I ended up selling that company, but that's what led me here to this point of now helping small business owners adopt AI automation into their businesses. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what small businesses really want. I've already told you that you want more profit ultimately at the end of the day, which means making your team members more efficient and ensuring high quality. And it also means moving so much faster so you can launch more products, launch more content, all of those types of things eventually is going to create more profit for you. We're also going to be talking about how small businesses should adopt AI. I'm about to dive into that now. We'll be talking about why you should be cautious listening to most content creators. I already mentioned that. And what you should keep doing as a small business owner. This is probably the other thing, is a lot of the content that I see out there on AI is it makes you feel like you're behind all the time. And that does nothing productive for anybody except to make you feel maybe a little bit overwhelmed and not really knowing what to do. And instead of doing something, you do nothing at all. Whereas I don't think you're going to get left behind. If you're a successful business owner right now, you've already proven yourself in the market. And honestly, 90% of the AI tools that are out there are absolutely too hypey and not really useful for real businesses making real money. So don't get caught up in that trap of feeling like you're behind all the time, because after the rest of this video, then you're going to understand what you should keep doing, what you should start doing, and what you should maybe stop doing as well. And then the final one there is what you should stop doing and wait for them to become proven first as a small business owner. And that's where I'm really going to start with, like, these few here that you can see in large letters, which are AI bots. There are some people using them, yes. Are they super effective? Not really. Have I used them on customer service websites? Yes. Do I like them? No, they piss me off so much. But if you look around at most of the ads, people running ads online, is they're pushing AI bots. Why? Because they're new and exciting and it does cool stuff. But does it really drive any growth in the bottom line? In my opinion, it doesn't. Another one is AI voice assistants. This is pretty interesting. There's maybe like 5% of use cases this could be useful. But if you think about it from a customer point of view, if they call up, do they really want to speak to a robot? Probably not, at least not at this stage. Rather than spending 5, 10, 15 grand getting someone to install a voice assistant, then let's wait for maybe 5 years until that's proven, where people are used to it and people enjoy it. And you know that there's going to be a really great response rate from that, until you invest your time, effort, energy, money, focus into that particular system. The other one you're going to hear a lot about this year is AI agents. Do I think AI agents are going to completely change the way business is done? Absolutely. Will it be this year? Probably not. As you can see with all of the other hype cycles that have come in AI before us, it usually, for the first year, maybe 2 years of the AI hype cycle for this new tool, this new thing, the product itself that is new and exciting isn't really viable for most businesses. However, because content creators especially, and the businesses themselves, are so good at hyping that product and making it sound absolutely unbelievable, you feel like you're getting left behind. Whereas in fact, I've dived into basically every new product that comes out, and 95% of them need like a 2 or 3 year runway from the time you first hear about them in order to become something that is useful for business owners. So don't get too caught up in those just yet. If you want to know when AI agents become good, subscribe to this channel, and I'll definitely tell you when we do start using them with really great use cases inside of real businesses. The other things that you might want to stop doing is creating something brand new with AI. So like it's a typical response from every entrepreneur. We always want something new and exciting, the shiny object syndrome, right? Whereas the best way to actually implement AI, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, is taking existing proven workflows. I even talked about it at the start. You have proven workflows. You don't want to be building something brand new just because AI can do it. We can take existing things that are proven, that are making us money, that everybody in the business knows about, that your customers are getting results from. We can take those processes and we can use AI instead. I'm going to give an example just in a bit as well. The other things that we should probably stop doing are fully automated AI videos. There are very few channels out there on YouTube that are making this work. There are some channels that have voiceovers that are doing quite well on YouTube. You'll see them a lot, but are they doing that fully automated with AI? Absolutely not. Not at this stage, at least. Are they using AI in parts of those workflows? Probably. But fully automated AI videos is nothing but someone trying to sell you a product, so you don't even get caught up in those things. The other thing that can become quite overwhelming in this space is keeping up with the latest announcements. Even me in this space every single day, I just turn off, I unsubscribe from most newsletters. I turned off a lot of YouTube channels and content because it gets overwhelming and distracting. So like I said, there's usually a hype cycle of about 2 to 3 years of a certain way of doing things before it actually becomes viable. So I'm actually looking at like, what was the thing that was being said 12 months ago, and has that progressed today? Also chasing every new AI tool. Maybe there's a little bit of fun in doing this, finding different tools on AppSumo or anywhere where they have some really great deals. There are some tools that are great, but here's the number one problem that I found. When I had problems in my pet care education business, I went through all of the tools that we were using, and there was about 30 different tools that my team were using. And what I realized is that the complexity in the workflow of going from this tool to that tool, to that tool, to that tool, back to this tool, back to that tool, and then to another tool before we publish, like all of that part of the process was taking an extra 10 minutes per tiny workflow, an extra 2 hours per longer workflow, where we could just set up a few automations and remove like 5 or 6 or 7 of those tools out of the workflow because it's fully automated inside of some of these automation tools like make.com. Yes, we should look at new tools every now and then, but be very cautious adding them into your workflow because of the complexity of like changing through different tools and the context shifting and that type of stuff. And then the other thing is, if you are going to experiment, then you should experiment with a goal. So if you're experimenting for no reason and you think it's going to be helping your business, then make sure you have a goal. So that then leads us to, okay, what should we start doing instead? And I'm going to talk about what are the things we should keep doing as well, because that is also important. You're already doing a lot of things if you are a successful business owner that are great. Some of the things that we should start doing is replace ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini with automation as much as possible. So what do I mean by this? So you have your ChatGPT dashboard. That is a sandbox where you can ask it anything, you can insert anything, and it's great. It's been huge for most businesses. However, we can actually do things way faster and smarter by taking the prompts that we used all of the time and putting them into like a prompt library inside of a database tool, for example. And anytime we run, say, a YouTube workflow, we might have 5 or 6 different prompts that we use in order to produce all of the things that we need for that YouTube video. What we can do is we can line up those prompts in a workflow and hit one button, and it will take your inputs and then it will produce all of the outputs that you're asking for. So normally what you would normally do in ChatGPT is you would put those 6 prompts in manually by yourself each individual time. Sometimes the prompts might be different, so you don't really know if the prompts are good or if the AI is bad or what's going on. Whereas we can take a lot of these processes, instead of doing it manually, we can automate it with make.com and these types of tools. The other thing we could start doing is replace proven processes with AI automation. I mean, I wrote it here twice accidentally, but it's really like everything that I'm going to be talking about this year, because this is the secret: replacing proven processes with AI automation. Like I said, if you have a process that is helping you generate leads every single month, why not make that process more efficient? Why not go deeper on that process? And why not do more of that process without having to hire more people? Like, that is the holy grail in business, is how can we do proven things better, faster, and more efficiently with less amount of people? So that's the most obvious place to start, but it's not the most obvious place for most people, because we mostly get caught up in the hype cycles of AI creators, newsletters, all of those types of things. The other thing that we could start to do is centralize our workforce to a single database tool. And what I mean by this, and there'll be tons of other videos on my channel where I talk about different workflows inside of Airtable, is we're building everything out of tools like Airtable, where we can create our own custom content workflows so that becomes the main dashboard for the business. So normally you would have, like, say, your project management tool where you manage your projects. And then once you start creating projects, you might have some spreadsheets tracking stuff. You might have some Google Docs to help with those things. Maybe you do a little bit extra stuff inside of your project management tools. You could even use some of these project management tools as a database where you are storing all of your, let's call it, your YouTube videos, and they're getting stored in a database. And within that database, we can create triggers into automations where we can automate our workflows for things like writing all of the content, scripting, writing descriptions. We can even automate generating images based on our brand. Like there's so many different things we can do if we start thinking from a more advanced level as a small business owner, thinking more like a tech company. So the reason why most tech companies are not hiring thousands and thousands of staff every year now like they used to is because they're automating so much of their workflows. So they're essentially building databases for different parts of their business, having a schema with all of the different things that they need for those workflows, and automating those workflows with AI. So that humans within the business, they only need to add in a little bit of input. A large amount of the, let's call it the knowledge work or the specialist work that used to happen is now done by AI. And then the same human who put the input in, like a higher level manager, is now picking up the output, making a few edits and putting that work into production, however that may look. That used to only be accessible by big tech companies with expensive developers, but now small business owners are able to do the exact same thing. Now that can get quite overwhelming if you have tons of processes and teams and people in your business. So all you need to do, what I would recommend, is just choose one per month. What is one workflow per month that is processed out right now that someone in your team is following? How can you take that and automate that inside of your business, or begin to automate at least parts of it inside of your business using these tools like Make.com. And I have a membership called the Massive Moves membership. There'll be a link in the description below. And each month we do a 7-day sprint called the Map and Make Sprint, which does this exact thing, where we take an existing proven workflow, we map it out in like a tool like this, like Miro board. We map it out as a mind map or a workflow or flow chart. And then we can see very clearly what are the steps that we take in order to create each of these workflows, and then we figure out which parts of that workflow we can automate. And often it's like 80% of the workflow can be automated. You just don't know it yet because you don't know the tools, you don't know the processes, the way that it works. We can build then a prompt library. The benefit of a prompt library is the same prompt gets used over and over again, which means if you need to improve the prompt, you can improve it there one time, and your team will then have access to the prompt library moving forward. So you always have the most up-to-date prompts if you have a prompt library when you're using it inside of a database. But then there's some other interesting things that we can start to do as well, which is KPI our team on efficiency gains. So what I've implemented as of literally last week with my team is that I'm doing this for 2 reasons. I'm getting them to track all of their time on task today. So it's a brand new business, which means we have to automate basically the whole business again. But I'm getting them to track their tasks today, and eventually I'll be able to pull a report that says, at the start of the year, my team used to spend 10 hours a week on this task. Then we automate it. Now they're spending 1 hour per week on this task, which is a 90% efficiency gain. So like, if I can have some clear data around that, that's going to be really cool. But also, like, just in general, if you set a KPI on it for your team to get it more efficient, then they're going to focus on it. They're going to put importance on this, and they're going to actually hopefully implement that as well. If you haven't started doing it, then documenting all your workflows within the business is going to be super critical, because like I said, if we come back to our choose one proven workflow per month to automate, our map and make workflow, then we want to make sure things are documented first so we can then automate them. If things are not documented, then you don't really know what happens. So we want to do that. And you can simply do that just by doing like a Loom screen share. Also, we want to train our team on AI automation. So, maybe getting them involved in the community as well. Do some regular automation audits. And maybe you need some extra help, whether you hire an internal team member to automate stuff, or you can get some contractors involved to help automate and build and implement AI for you as well, which we do if you want to check that out on the website. And then I really want to make sure that I drive home the parts that you're also doing well. Like if you're here watching this far, then I've been speaking about how you're probably a successful business owner already. So you have your proven processes where you are doing some manual teamwork. Just because there's AI automation available today, and you don't want to stop doing those things. I imagine you're probably not going to stop doing those things, but the manual teamwork is actually what improves the process. It's actually a critical part of AI automation, is doing the manual teamwork first to prove that the process actually works. A lot of beginners, I find, are trying to do it the opposite way. They're trying to automate something from the start before it's proven, and then they have a really hard time creating the product, selling the product, because it's not really solving an issue. They don't understand how to actually solve the issue properly manually first. We should also keep using ChatGPT and Claude. Like a lot of people that come into my community, at least, like, oh, well, if I do AI automations, then I'm paying for my developer account. can I just get rid of ChatGPT or Claude? I mean, you could, but the tools are so good that there's some times where you don't want to automate things. You want to ask some one-off questions. You want to get some one-off prompts. You want to check that a manual process works before automating it. So I would still suggest using some of these tools. And what we should keep doing, if you do have those proven processes, then make sure you just keep documenting them. Even if you're not in a position to automate with AI right now by hiring a new team member to do that for you, or hiring a contractor like us to do that for you, then you should start documenting the successful processes you have. And the important parts in that are, of course, what you do, like what are the steps in documenting that process. But the important part now that we have with AI is, why are you doing it? So what is the thought process? What does the ideation phase look like? Why are you, if you're writing an email, why are you sending that type of email to this customer at that time? What are you trying to get across to them? How do you relate to them? If you can document those things as well, not just the step-by-step, here's how you move through the dashboards, that's when you can get really great workflows automated with AI, because we can then train the AI to think exactly like you, which is scary, but also beautiful as well. It's amazing to me how many business owners are so scared of AI, but for their whole lives have been saying, I wish I could just duplicate or replicate myself and I'd have no problems with my team members because they would think just like me. There is an opportunity now to do that. If you can pull out your internal thought processes of how you do things, why you do things, then we can start to build those into AI systems so that you can become way more productive. So that is my presentation on how small business owners should adopt AI automation this year. And just, I mean, all of that feedback is just in general, that all of those things I just mentioned are going to stay true no matter what phase of AI is in, which is there's going to be a hype cycle of technology that is coming out, the latest and greatest stuff right now. Most of that is probably not going to be useful for real businesses for maybe 1 to 3 years time. So don't get caught up too much in that. Take your existing processes and improve them, make them better, automate them, use AI to think just like you so that you can have more time and money for doing whatever you want, basically. That's it. If you do want to work with us, head to bigmoves.io and I'll see you in the next video.